In my last video, I talked about some of the steps I'm taking to prepare the garden for my trip to Ireland. I mulched garden beds, secured our vertical crops, and made sure pest and disease issues were under control. Today I'll share how we're stepping up our harvest, preparing meals, and preserving crops to make sure that no food goes to waste. And I'll also talk about my plans for keeping the garden watered while I'm gone, which shouldn't be too big of a problem considering how much rain we've had. My biggest concern in leaving the garden is that I don't want food to go to waste. The garden is currently near its peak of production, and tomatoes and peppers in particular are ripening very quickly. So in anticipation of my trip, I'm harvesting all ripe crops, and I'm making sure to plan all meals around the garden. One great way to use a lot of tomatoes and peppers is to make a pasta sauce. So I went to all of our 23 tomato plants and harvested every single ripe tomato. I harvested Gardener's Delights, Sweet Millions, Sweet 100s, black cherries, and blueberry cherry tomatoes. By the way, if you're wondering why we only grow cherry tomatoes, it's because our garden doesn't get enough sun for larger varieties to ripen before our first frost. But cherry tomatoes do very well. After harvesting all the ripe tomatoes, I picked several Jimmy Nardello peppers, a couple cayenne peppers, oregano and basil. And with some garlic I harvested last month, I made some pasta sauce. I have to say the Jimmy Nardello peppers really added a lot to the sauce. It was delicious and surprisingly sweet. I had the sauce with pasta, but my wife had it with steamed zucchini and onions, which worked out well because we have plenty of zucchini. Please see the description below if you'd like to see how I made the sauce. The pasta sauce took care of our ripe tomatoes, but barely put a dent in our ripe peppers. There were more Jimmy Nardello, jalapeno, cayenne, and poblano peppers than we could eat. So I harvested all of the ripe peppers and dehydrated those we wouldn't be able to eat over the next several days. I want to make absolutely sure these beauties don't go to waste. We also had several eggplants that were ready to harvest. We harvested Japanese eggplant, Japanese white egg eggplant, and black beauties. I never miss the opportunity to make barta when we have fresh eggplant. And the recipe also calls for tomatoes and hot peppers, which we have in abundance. To accompany the barta, I harvested potatoes and carrots and added them to a vegetable biryani. I've included links to these basic recipes in the description. And of course we continue to regularly harvest greens, though I don't expect them to go bad while I'm gone. We harvest greens just about every day. For breakfast I often make scrambled eggs with cottage cheese, mixed greens, and cayenne or jalapeno pepper, and we often have salads for lunch. I also stepped up my harvest of blackberries and ground cherries. So I think I have a good handle on making sure that our ripe crops don't go to waste. But what about watering the garden? This is probably the biggest concern for most gardeners when they leave their garden. However, we've had a lot of rain this summer. In fact, we didn't have to water at all until late July. And as you may be able to see, it just stopped raining before I came out to make this video. So I don't expect having to water the raised beds before I leave, and they may not need watering while I'm gone. But our container plants definitely will need watering, at least every other day when it's not raining. Fortunately, I have a helper who will take care of the containers. And I'll also monitor the Chicago weather while I'm gone, and let my helper know if I think the raised beds also need watering. After taking these measures, I feel better about leaving the garden behind, and will enjoy my vacation without worry. My brother Kevin actually arrived in Ireland a few days ago, and he and Kaylee have been sending me the most gorgeous photos of their visit so far. As we close, I'll share more of their photos of this beautiful country. Well, that's all for now. Thank you very much for watching. And until next time, remember, you can change the world one yard at a time.